members, and my dear students. I, Aditya Umesh, and Neeru Tracia, the management students of SCMS School of Technology and Management, will be the master of ceremony for the program. Let's start the program by invoking the blessings of Lord Almighty. I request everyone to rise for the prayer. For that, I invite Malavika B, Nakshatra Suresh, and Shadow.
Thank you everyone. Now let's begin the program. Now I welcome Ms. Veena Thomas, Managing Committee Member KMA, for the welcome address and introduction of the speaker.
Good evening to all. Respected Chief Guest of the Day, Mr. Vinod Thomas, IPS, KMA President, Mr. Bibu Punduran, Secretary, Dr. Anil Joseph, Vice President and Program Committee Chair, Mr. Algiers Khalid, past Presidents, ladies and gentlemen. It's my honor and privilege to welcome you all to this Friday evening. Today we are here to witness an interesting session on does engineering education need a major overhaul? I'm sure that this topic itself is interesting. To take us through this interesting topic, we have Mr. Vinod Thomas, IPS, the Chief Executive Officer of Deep Blue Research Limited. I gratefully welcome you, sir. Though I was a KMA member as you all, I hardly used to come to any of the program. But for the last few months, I'm very closely associating, and I know how much effort are going on at the senior level to introduce such a program every Friday with such an eminent speaker. So I could closely associate and understand that it is not that the seniors are spending time out of their free time, no. Out of their work, they are spending time so that this good information, their experience, their expertise could be passed on to the young generation also. There is a saying, raise your words, not your voice. It is the rain that grows the flower and not the thunder. In KMA, we have Bibu Punuran here, the KMA president, who is the calm face of KMA, but gracefully leading the association with his guidance. I welcome you, sir, to this evening. We have a dynamic personality sitting on stage. He's Dr. Anil Joseph, Secretary of KMA. I welcome you to this evening. Mr. Algiers Khalid, a strong pillar of KMA and the person behind bringing these eminent speakers. You definitely need an appreciation. Thank you and welcome you, sir. I cannot move on without mentioning the past presidents of KMA, who shaped the association, spending their valuable time, experience and expertise. Dear sirs, I welcome you and your presence graces us. The audience, which is very important, and that is why we are conducting such a program every Friday. It is not easy for us as each and every individual to get such eminent speakers. So hearing this, I'm grateful that you all are here. I welcome you all to this function. Before handing over the mic to Bibu, let me introduce our chief guest, Mr. Vinod Thomas, IPS. He graduated in the year 1991 from IIT Madras He began his career in the Indian Police Service, serving various leadership roles across Kerala for 13 years. In 2002, he earned his MBA from Tulane University, transitioning into private equity. I must say that the most dramatic career transition to manage $1 billion in assets. He is a seasoned professional with a rich background spanning law enforcement, investment, education, and technology. Currently, he runs an AI startup focused on bringing cutting-edge AI technology to enhance productivity. His passion for leveraging AI solutions to drive practical business improvements aligns with the need of modern market. Mr. Vinod plays an influential role in education sector, advising 10 educational institutions including 2 engineering colleges. His focus is on strengthening the startup ecosystem and improving academic quality within these institutions. I'm sure that many of us are wondering and eagerly waiting to hear from him his transition from IPS to investment to education to technology and on the engineering. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Meena.
Welcome.
Now, I welcome Mr. Bibu Punura, President of KMA, to give the presidential address.
Good evening, one and all. Chief Guest of the day, Mr. Vinod Thomas, Honorary Secretary Dr. Anil Joseph, Ms. Meena Thomas, Past President E. Balakrishnan, Mr. Aljis Khalid, other MC members, dear KMA members, my dear students, warm welcome to you today evening. I know that the entire town is practically blocked because of the heavy traffic today. Today being Friday, and I think because of those 2 bridges being closed at Thevra, and the entire traffic is now being diverted through Southern Apron Road, and so that keeps people from coming here. But anyway, at least I'm happy to see all of you out here. Now, on stage we have 2 eminent engineers, and the topic today is engineering. And I'm sorry, 3 engineers on stage. I'm the only odd guy out, and I should say that see, engineering is a marvel on its own, and maybe about 40 years back, when I was deciding upon my career, one of my dad's friends. Again, I come from a family of engineers. My dad is an engineer, my brother, my sister, all are engineers. But then I chose not to become an engineer. And at that point of time, when I chose commerce as my stream, being the son of an eminent engineer, people used to say in hush tones, Amanna. Because at that point of time, taking the commerce stream was meant for the mundans. And I took that. Anyway, I don't regret having taken that and gone on for MBA and other programs. But then that was how people were perceived. So you had only 2 choices: go for engineering or go for medicine. And a few other students would go for maybe law and chartered accountancy. These were probably the only professions that were known, and the most coveted was engineering and medicine of course. Even at that point of time, I remember one of my dad's friends telling me or advising me that he thought that I would become a doctor. So he was kind of advising me that the future of medicine is in engineering. And I think that is true today, because today I run a chain of diagnostic centers, and every day we encounter problems. I mean, Meena will vouch for it. She's in the manufacturing sector of diagnostic equipments, and I'm one of the users of that kind of thing. So every day we have these automated machines, giving us a lot of inputs into our testing. At the same time, we also have the problems associated with that, because if one machine is down, then the results are erroneous and things like that. Now, coming to the marvel of engineering, the hall that we are sitting here was one floor below this particular building. Okay, this entire building was lifted 8 floors, 8 feet above ground level, and the floor that you see for the students in Telugu, the floor that you see on the ground, the reception out there was below the earth. So that was how it was. Thanks to the engineering brain of our structural engineer, Dr. Anil Joseph, who is now our honorary secretary, the building was entirely lifted 8 feet, and we have made this same old building as beautiful as it can be. So that's engineering, and that's marvel. So, but then if you ask me whether engineering today is a coveted subject, yes, it is. Yes, we all three of them are from eminent colleges, but then there are so many colleges right now which do not maintain any standards, and from the statistics of the colleges, I think I may be right or wrong, I don't know, I got this from the net. 169 colleges in Kerala alone with 56,000 seats, 56,000 plus seats for engineering in the state. And the sad part of this is that hardly 47% of these students qualify to become engineers, and out of that, hardly about 25% out of that 47% really pass out engineering, and out of that, actually only about 10% is really employable. This is the problem. So the many so-called engineers who are coming out from engineering colleges finally end up doing other jobs. They are either underemployed or not employed in their profession, in their stream, and many employers do not want such kind of people to be employed. So this being the case, I'm sure that we have an encyclopedia of an IIT engineer sitting here, a man who runs several educational institutions. He was a former commissioner of the city police commissioner, and he also advises so many institutions, educational institutions, and he's very passionate about artificial intelligence now. So all this put together, Mr. Vinod Thomas is the right person for us to be addressed. So I'm sure that we're going to have a great evening with him. And once again, let's look forward to hearing from Mr. Vinod Thomas. So over to you, sir.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for such a generous introduction, both of you. It's indeed a great privilege to be addressing the cream de la cream of Kochi. Being present here in KMA and being able to address all of you is a great honor and privilege. I thank the office bearers for inviting me here on this topic. While the introduction was very generous to a fault, the one thing that they left out, because I didn't tell them, I'm especially suited to talk about engineering education now. You know why? I just dropped my daughter off for her engineering. Now, all the insight that you get by running engineering colleges, being an engineer, being an engineering student, you get when you have to send your daughter to an engineering college. That is when you start wondering, what's the right college to go to? Otherwise, when I joined, I got something, so I joined. I never thought much about it. But as a parent, you are much more worried, much more concerned, and you think about it. So I have that qualification also to talk about engineering. Now the question is, does engineering education required a serious overhaul, especially in Kerala, with particular focus to Kerala. Now, most of you would know that almost all students actually want to leave the state at the earliest opportunity. After 12th, the only condition that my daughter put forward was that I don't want to stay in Kerala. And that's not an isolated situation. That's a case with most students in the state. Now there are many students sitting here. All of you are engineering students, right? No? Management. So I should be very careful. Okay, I will be particularly partial to engineering for this lecture alone. Incidentally, I also did my MBA, so I have some soft corner for MBAs also. So, why is it that all our students actually want to leave the state? They don't want to do their graduation in the state. Has anybody thought about this? Is Kerala such a bad place? Definitely not. Kochi is a wonderful place to be. Where are they going to? They are going to neighboring cities like Bangalore, Bombay. What's the reason? The reason is very simple. They want diversity. They don't say that in so many words. They want a diverse culture. They want to live a diverse cultural experience during the 4 years. Now, people don't put that in so many words, but essentially that's the case. So I dropped her off at Manipal for the engineering, came back home, actually having the same feeling as having dropped her at the play school. So, if possible, I wanted to get her back to the state. She had written the Kerala engineering entrance exam also. So I thought if she got a good college here, I would be able to get her back. By the time the results of all the scheme and everything came out here, semester was half done there. But that's not the reason why she did not come back. A lot of people, a lot of elders, a lot of very experienced people advised me against that. One primary reason that was cited was that yes, Trivandrum Engineering College is a great place, it's a great engineering institution, but in diversity, in terms of diversity and culture, diversity in culture, Manipal trumps. So lack of diversity in our campuses is a big problem. Now, how does it happen? It happens because our colleges admit only people domiciled in Kerala. They don't say Keralites, people domiciled in Kerala. Now, when you don't get people from outside, what happens is, and some of your people go away, you have fewer students to teach. Our engineering colleges here, we have, as Vibhu rightly pointed out, we have more than 150 engineering colleges. They don't have students. Because we don't get people from outside, and our people naturally leave primarily because we don't have people from outside. So the 4 years, 4 formative years are extremely important in the life of anybody. And a diverse cultural experience during that period is extremely important. When we were growing up, that time, we didn't really know so much about it. That's no longer the case. Our students, our youngsters, live the life of New York, live the life of London, live the life of Tokyo, sitting here in our cities. Why is that? You are on the internet all the time. Most of the waking hours is in Instagram or whatever. Or nobody uses Facebook these days. That's not cool. So Insta, right? Now you talk to so I happened to talk to somebody on the way to Munnar one day. I was in a coffee shop along the way. So a young boy. So I asked him, what are you doing here? He said, sir, I'm running this. This is my cousin's place, I'm just running it. Then I thought, he's not just running it. So I asked him, what are your plans? He said, I'm going to New Zealand soon. I said, oh, what are you going to do there? He gave me a whole lecture on what all he can do in New Zealand. and he knows so much about New Zealand, I don't think he knows that much about pineapple. What's the reason? You are exposed to it. In fact, sitting 30 years back, it was impossible to even think about it. Sitting here, you know which turn to take in which city. It is no longer alien. It is no longer, there's no cultural isolation. Now, such a child, you ask him to stay in a state which you hermetically seal against any outside influence. How is it going to work out? Kerala institutions, if they have to survive, will have to get students from outside. That provides a balanced cultural experience to all students. There are other incidental problems to this insularity. What are the problems? I run 2 engineering colleges, by the way. We don't have students from outside. Most of our students come from within, say, about 30 kilometers of the college. Most of them. Or in any case, within the state. So Friday, what happens? Everyone is off. Why Friday? 4:15, 4:20 in the college, there'll be nobody. They come at 9:15, leave at 4:15 or 4:30, I don't know. But thereafter, campus is dead. Now, you can't insist that if somebody is from Edapalli is coming to my college is in Pampapada. I can't insist that he should stay in the campus, right? Where is the campus life here? Now, why is campus life important? That takes us to the next point, which is absolutely critical. Gentlemen, engineering is about innovation. Engineering is not about learning how to do things. Engineering today, it's purely about innovation. Why do I say this? If you just have to run something, 30 years back that was enough. An engineer was required to run things. Incidentally, there was some minor clarification. I started my career not as a police officer, I started as a steel maker. I was in steel authority for a short while. Now, a steel plant, it runs. Everybody is not waking up in the morning trying to figure out how to make steel better. There'll be a research and development department somewhere who might be doing something, and every 10 years they'll come up with some suggestion which everybody disregards. This is mostly what happens, right? In the old economy business, this is how it is. That was the requirement. Now, why do you require engineers there? I don't think the person who recruited me for that ever thought that I would do anything. He just wanted somebody, this guy looks good. He's an engineer, he's got a degree, and he speaks fine. Maybe someday we will require him. That's how you recruited in the past. Things have changed radically. So then, engineers were required to run the steel factory already set up. Now that is changing. You don't require anybody to run anything. We have robots, we have automated systems. You might think that I'm exaggerating a little. As of now, it's not that we don't have human beings in any of these places. We have human beings, but they are being phased out quite rapidly. Now, even if they are not phased out, if you can be replaced easily by another machine, the money, who's going to pay you any money for it? Yeah, you want? I'll give you a job. You want more money? No, I'll get a machine. So engineers are actually not required to run most of the things. It can be automated. If it has not been automated, it will be automated. With the advent of artificial intelligence and various robotics, China is just betting on that. China is thinking that anyway their population is falling like a rock. They're saying that how do we run this economy? They're saying that, okay, we'll run it with robots. We'll wait and see what happens. But net, what are the engineers required for? They are required for innovation. Now, how do we create an ecosystem for innovation. Older times, innovation was like an extra. Okay, you do something great, okay, good, God. But that's the bread and butter tomorrow, if not today. How do we create that innovative, an ecosystem for innovation in our colleges? Now, if your college is shut down at 4:15, you are not going to create any environment for that. The environment comes with interaction, with academic input, top of the line academic input, with innovation. When smart people sit together, have coffee, new ideas come up. You need a bunch of smart people together, and you should interact. You should have a conducive environment where you can freely express your opinion, where you can try out your experiments, where you can try out things. Only then innovation is possible. If, at least in Kerala, the feeling is that there is a syllabus that is being given by the university. We have to cover the syllabus. At the end of the semester, students will have to write an examination, and if they graduate, if they pass, they graduate, then they are engineers. Hard luck, that's not how it is. Nobody is ever going to ask you for your degree certificate. And the youngsters here, you're not going to be as lucky as I am. My employer never wanted me to do anything. Not that way. Today, you will be employed for producing results on day one, because the entire structure of the economy has changed. Now let's just take a look at how the world has changed. Everybody says the world has changed. It's become a cliche. We don't take it very seriously, because we don't feel it. We don't feel that change, because yesterday was same as today. But over a long period of time, small changes add up. Small changes compound. Now let's just see the first slide. Now I have it. Yes. How did the world change? Obviously, we can have hours of lecture on how did the world change. But then here, it's just one aspect. Let's just look at the big 10 companies of 1950s actually. US Steel Corporation, steel maker. General Motors, car maker. Standard Oil. General Electric, electrical equipment. Ford Motor, automobile. American AT&T is phone. DuPont, chemical manufacturing. Chrysler, again car maker. Another oil and gas and energy company. This was a composition in the 50s. Now, think about it. If the top man at US Steel, I went to Steel Authority, so let me take a steel company here. The top man at the Steel Authority, US Steel, decided not to do anything for 6 months, not even read the newspaper. Definitely there was no Instagram at that time, forget it. So, if they ever thought that they would just take a break, do nothing. Unbelievable, but it was possible. 100 years back, even, I read somewhere that our Federal Reserve, the RBI governor equivalents of 4 of the biggest countries, could take months-long vacation on ships, right? With no telephone and all that. Unthinkable today. But anyway, if he took a break, his company would still be running. Every one of them, his companies would be still running. But imagine what has happened today. Apple technology, Microsoft technology, Nvidia technology, Amazon technology. It's not e-commerce, it's just technology with some e-commerce added on top. Alphabet, that is Google technology. Saudi Aramco, oil and gas. Meta Platforms, again technology. Okay? Berkshire Hathaway, diversified, basically energy, insurance and all that. TSMC, again technology. LEDP, is pharmaceutical. See how the world has changed. From industrial companies where innovation was just an added attraction, to today, all these companies will not survive if they take their eyes off innovation. There are constant scares. For example, Google was battered because OpenAI came up. And people said the edge that Google had or has in search will go away. Now what did Google do? Google immediately came out with Gemini. Whether Gemini is as good or better, we don't know, but still, they can't take their eyes off innovation. All these are innovative companies. This is how the world has changed. There are other dimensions here. Those are all industrial companies. We'll come back to that. But anyway, so innovation is what engineers are for today. And innovation is possible only when you create the right environment for that. You get smart people together, provide them with world-class education. Why world-class? I'll keep talking about this world-class. It's not because I'm just aspirational. Because nothing else is possible. I'll tell you why. Look at this. US Steel and Steel Authority of India can coexist. Can something coexist with Apple on what it is doing? Very, very difficult. There are thousands of steel companies across the world. If you say Apple, the only possible competition is Samsung. You can't have another one here. Can you replace Microsoft? Not possible. None of those on the right side. You cannot repeat it. So you have to beat them. It's not that you can be just one other Facebook, not possible, or Instagram, or WhatsApp, not possible. These are all highly scalable businesses. Now, if you want to have your foothold there, you have to be world class. You're competing with them. I had the option of not competing with General Motors and setting up Maruti here, but I don't have the option of doing that on the other side. So it has to be world class. Now let's come back and see our engineering education in India. World, has changed. Has our engineering education changed? Let's just go to the next slide. This is how CET changed, that is Engineering College, College of Engineering Trivandrum. Nothing against Trivandrum Engineering College, this was the only thing that was available on the internet. That's one of the finest colleges. Okay? How did that change from 1950s to 2024? Civil engineering, 21 students were taken in the 1950s. Now 120 students. Electrical and electronics 120. Mechanical 120. No change from 20. We just added on. 3 branches were added: electronics, into two ways: electronics and communication, applied electronics, industrial engineering, and computer science and engineering. The world changed so radically from 1950s to 2024. Our engineering education, with great difficulty, added these 3 or 4, these 3 branches. That's all that has happened. Now, and these happened at least 2-3 decades back. So in the past 2-3 decades, we have barely changed. Our engineering education has barely changed. Now, recently, last year, the Kerala Technological University has introduced artificial intelligence and cyber security after the train has left the station, but still fine. At least you started. But CET will take several more years before that is introduced, even within the state. I don't know why, but that's the way it is. So our engineering education has not changed. Now there is a saying: what is art for? Now you look at a painting. What is that for? Is it conveying a message? Some do convey, but many don't. So they say art is for art. Nothing else. Art is for art. Same case with engineering education. Engineering education is for engineering education. That seems to be the attitude that we have. Now, I graduated in 1991 from IIT Madras in civil engineering. We got one of the finest education possible on the face of earth. You guys might think that I am a little biased, right? I have my professor here, you can ask him also. Professor Matthews taught us in IIT Madras. 91 we graduated. So recently we had a small informal get together of the batch. And we figured that not one of us worked in civil engineering. We were 23. Not one of us worked in civil engineering, except for very short, brief spells here and there. Some people have. This reminds me of the story. Around the time we graduated, they tested a drug for angina, that is chest pain, due to poor blood flow. So they thought, Pfizer, they thought that this drug would relax your blood vessels and improve blood circulation, and that will solve angina. It was around 1989, 88, that period. We graduated in 91, okay? So, unfortunately, that didn't work. But while testing, they realized that men who collected these medicines never returned and complained. And later they figured out, while this doesn't work for your heart, it works for something else. It's the blockbuster drug called Viagra for erectile dysfunction. And Pfizer, unlike our engineering education, caught on to it and marketed it as a drug for erectile dysfunction. What did our engineering education do? After all of us went into various other fields, they increased the number of vacancy in civil engineering from 23 to 120. And I recently happened to talk to some of them. Not one of them is joining civil engineering again. Everybody is going into IT. Market us as IT graduates. Now, there is an argument, which I have made many times, because we have to survive, right? Say it doesn't matter what we study. It's just a cerebral exercise, it's a mental exercise. When you go to the gym, you do the exercise, right? Not because in the field you will go and keep going with the dumbbells, right? It's just an exercise. Similarly, we did that exercise, a very rigorous exercise for 4 years. We can do anything we want. And I actually did. Whatever I wanted, I have done. Okay? So, but that's not right as far as the society is concerned. You are taking the most valuable resource on the face of the earth and teaching them something, and their most valuable 4 years, and teaching them something which society really does not want. Now we can say art is for art, engineering is for engineering, we want to learn, we want to, done, agreed. Now if you want, I'm not saying civil engineering is not useful, mechanical engineering is not useful, I'm not saying that. We have to understand how much does this society require us. You definitely don't require 120 students graduating from IIT Madras for civil engineering today. What's the reason? The world has changed. Whatever you... How many civil engineers here? Apart from serving you? Civil engineer, yeah. We, in those good old days, would do what moment distribution to figure out how the stress and strain in a structure, bending moment in a structure will play out. So it's a mechanical process. You do the numbers and do that. It takes some time. Today, I don't think anybody does that. Even at that time, there were finite element methods and all that in computing. Now I'm sure those finite element methods, somebody would be running on their cell phone. If they don't do it, they should be doing it. Correct? Now, when I joined Steel Authority of India, I was a site supervisor. there was massive construction work going on. We would go to or at least we were supposed to go to the site under the hot sun, observe the quality of execution and make a report and all that. Now imagine today, all that you require is some cameras and some AI to figure out what is going on there. And maybe one person in the whole area to figure out. Definitely you don't require so many people. Things have changed. We have to change according to that. And again, coming back to my art for art, civil engineering needs people, right? Otherwise, after some time, you wouldn't know how to lift this building, right? But you need far fewer people. You know how many people are required for research. You know how many people are required for industry. It's not rocket science. In real world, all of you would be doing this on a daily basis. Before you make an investment, you will decide, 3 years down the line, do I find customers for this or am I wasting time? Before you buy a car, you decide, you think about that. Before you make a house, you think about that. But before you decide to take 150 engineering students in some random topic, you don't think about it. Why? Is it buyer beware? Now that's a very buyer beware. By that, what I meant is that let students decide. If they don't want to come, they won't come. Now that's a very cruel way of thinking about it. Students at that age is not capable of taking a decision based on any thought process. Over a long period it happens. That is the reason why we don't have students for many branches in the state. But that's a long period. But even to a single student, you should not be doing that. You should not say buyer beware. You take this branch and then you figure out. It's not rocket science. You can figure out exactly how many people would be required in each engineering branch 5 years from now, 6 years from now, 7 years from now, 10 years from now. Now beyond that, it's okay. The first 5 to 10 years, they will be in their branches, and after that, they are general managers. They can do whatever they want. But these 5 years are important. These 10 years, initial 10 years are important. And our engineering education, engineering administrators will have to undertake serious research to find out how many students are required in what branch and what all branches will have to be shut down and what all branches will have to be started. Now, while I said civil engineering 120 is an overkill, but imagine, one of the biggest problems the society faces is climate change. Now there are lots of talks and lot of action on climate. And one of the biggest climate problems is buildings. Concrete is actually one of the biggest warming agents. Your buildings, I think one of these buildings is Leeds gold certificate. I don't know where I saw it. Yeah, I saw it in your office yesterday. right. So, why can't we reposition or start a new branch for climate engineering to deal with climate problems? It can be part of civil engineering. It can be a specialization for that. You can structure it any way that you want. Why don't we think about robotics? We are talking so much about semiconductor manufacturing. Where are people here for semiconductor manufacturing? We have a generic computer electronics. Why can't we have a specialized program for that? So it's high time serious thought goes into the branches that we have to teach and how many students will have to go in each of those branches. Without thorough research, without good quality planning, you will be misusing the most valuable resource that you have. Now, why do I say the most valuable resource? Our thought process still hasn't reached there. I think it's a couple of decades since we changed from personal management to human resource management. That's an acknowledgement that human beings are resources, not liabilities. Right? Even now, we haven't internalized that. We still treat them as like, 100 people, doesn't matter. That's not the case. World is again changing. Okay, this is something that I happened to see on the internet, so I just thought I would put it here. ChatGPT allowed me to sue my landlord without needing a legal representation. You don't have to read through that. What he says is that he uses that ChatGPT $20 subscription. Actually, you don't need even $20 subscription. And then he was being thrown out by his landlord, so he put in his agreement, his rental agreement, and asked ChatGPT to give him some legal support. So ChatGPT very cleverly came up with a legal strategy and he used it. That's what he said, and he didn't need a lawyer. Now, when do you think our law colleges will ever come to terms with this? Trust me, it's happening very rapidly. And it's not just that AI is changing this. It is not just AI. Technology has been making these changes over a period of time. Only thing is that we haven't noticed it. When I was CP here, we had some 8 or 10 typists. Then there was a fair copy superintendent to supervise them. Now, do you think we will have that? I don't know. I haven't checked. I suspect we don't definitely need it. But given that it's gone, maybe it's still there. I don't know. But that's how things change. Things change, and there's nothing wrong with it. And ChatGPT or LLMs, trust me, will change this. Law colleges better take care of this. Not only law colleges, several other colleges will have to think about it. But anyway, I just happened to come across that, so I put it there. Not related to engineering. Okay. Now, look at this. The state of global fertility. Now, you can see those deep blue areas, 4 and higher. That is the total fertility rate, birth per woman. You need 2.1 children per woman for a sustainable population. Why is that? To replace the 2 parents, right? And 0.1 is just to take care of that possibility that somebody might die off before they start a family. So you need 2.1. Now 4 and higher, where do you have? Sub-Saharan Africa, right? And Afghanistan. I don't think you see that anywhere else. Now, 1 to 1.9 is what you see in most areas. So that means most of the developed world is 1 to 1.9. They will have population decline. Naturally, they will have population decline. Now, UK reported that their natural growth turned negative. With immigration, they managed to grow. China, in serious trouble. Japan has been in trouble for a long time. South Korea, I don't know when they're going to vanish. So, now we can look at our position and be happy about it. What is India's position? It's 2 to 2.9, ideal, right? But think again, this is for the country as a whole. As far as Kerala is concerned, we are below replacement level. Not just that we are below replacement level, I told you in the beginning that none of us want to stay in the state. At least none of our youngsters want to stay in our state. So what's happening? What is going to happen is, in spite of what Trump says, in spite of what any of these conservative politicians say, all these countries will have to start encouraging immigration. Actually, they're not saying we don't want people. They're saying we don't want illegal immigration. We don't want people who are not skilled. Many of these countries have skill-based immigration programs. And we are ever ready to go, right? So as far as Kerala is concerned, if you don't take effort, if you don't have high quality education to keep your students here, all of them are going to end up in all these pink areas. And it has happened. It's nothing going to happen, it is happening very rapidly. So, when we were younger, in a church, we'll have nearly half the church earmarked for the children. Today, there will be no children. Do we have, I think, one row, maybe? That too in the cities. In rural areas, even that will not be there. In my village, there is nobody between the age of, say, 21 and 60. Men. Nobody is there. My home is a very famous place called Devlakara. It's close to Karnataka. But there are multiple churches there. Now, no youngsters in any of these places. But in Dubai, they have a church. People from Devlakara alone constitute some 280 people members of the church. Anyway, jokes apart, if we don't create an environment for our youngsters to stay here, we don't stop wasting their 4 years. They will all go and we will have nothing left. And I told you, unless you have talented people, adequate number of talented people, in good concentration, you are not going to have innovation. If you don't have innovation, you will not have high productivity companies. If you don't have high productivity companies, you will not have well-paying jobs in this place. And that's the biggest problem that we have today. In my college, almost everybody gets a job. Actually, everybody gets a job. Even if he does not pass all the subjects, he gets a job. The problem is, they're all paid 20,000 rupees per month. Now, I told you, we are all living in Instagram. We are watching what is happening elsewhere in the world. None of us want 20,000 rupees. They don't want a job. They say, sir, that's okay, I'll manage. What he's telling is that, sir, you don't worry about my job. I will go do some internship or something here and there, and I will find an opportunity, go to Gulf or somewhere else. This is what he's saying. Now you have this leakage of manpower, not manpower, the talent at the 12th standard level, at the graduation level, and then at every level. Now you have to create an environment here, and the easiest to create is actually education, because education, high quality education, will ensure high quality businesses coming up. All those companies that you see are the creation mostly of Stanford University and Silicon Valley. Now, this experiment has been done very successfully even in India. My alma mater has been able to incubate large number of companies. IIT Madras Research Park. Recently, I read that their total valuation is something like $40 billion or something of that kind. That's phenomenal. We can do that. But we need to have high quality education. Now, is it possible to create high quality education in Kerala? Now, I run 2 colleges, so I should not look at outsiders. I should be creating high quality education, right? It's not possible. Let's be very clear. Education is a resource intensive business. It requires a ton of money to do it, like most things in life. Education is a capital intensive business. Now, I was in the investment field for some time. So this is the advantage of being trained in subjects which the society doesn't really need. You will go around trying out various things. So I was lucky enough to try out investment for about 15 years. So we had investors putting in money into our funds. Many of them were universities, university endowments. Harvard University endowment at that time was more than $60 billion, billion with a B. All those universities have huge corpuses. Now somebody said that, some cynical fellow said that these are basically investment organizations with an attached teaching institution. And that's a cynical view. But education requires serious capital. Without that, it's not going to work. Now, are we capital starved? We don't have too much of capital, but as planners, we need to think about how best to allocate our resources. And I would argue that the best use of the capital, limited capital that the state has, is to set up a world-class university. Now, once you have money, can you set up world-class universities? Your target should be to get 10 Nobel Prize in the state in the next 20 years. Is it possible? We don't have to become very intelligent for that. Everybody, almost everybody knows who are the potential candidates for Nobel Prize in the next 20 years, next 10 years. In the academic circles, everybody knows. The guy is a potential candidate. And everybody has a prize. Set up his lab, pay him what he asks for, start a university here. That'll be the best use of the resources that we have. Create, I'm not saying we don't need roads, but think about it. You have to prioritize. I'm not saying you don't need rails. You need all that, but prioritize. Is it worthwhile putting in a huge amount of money in a project when you won't have people to use that 20 years down the line? Its priority should go to education. And create world-class education here. Then you will have people from all over the world coming here to study. And if that doesn't happen, you are in for a big problem, because anyway our people will go out. It didn't start yesterday. We have been part of a heritage which has been very, very closely connected to the rest of the world. So our people will go out. There's nothing wrong in it. But we should attract equally smart people from outside. They have to come to the state, they have to study here, they have to set up, then they will set up their own businesses. You will have high productivity businesses in the state, you will have well-paying jobs in the state that will attract even more people, and this will be a vibrant location. Now, if you are running a club, if your club is not active, people will not come there. There would be other clubs which are more happy. So you have to. Should I stop or? I think everybody can hear, right? Yeah. Loud enough. So, if your club is not the fanciest club, not the most happening club, people will not come. Every country is trying to attract people. They might not say that openly because it is very difficult to digest. But every country will be forced to get people from outside, talent from outside. So you should also get. The easiest way to get that is have very high quality education. World class, because you saw those businesses. They are not local businesses. Every one of the business on the right side is collecting money from you and me. Do you agree to that? Yeah. Otherwise we can go over that. Just think about it. Apple. How many of us have Apple phones and Apple devices? Microsoft. Our life is entirely on Microsoft. Nvidia. Everything that you use, behind that is an Nvidia chip, at least AI. Amazon. I think everybody uses Amazon more than the nearest kirana shop. Google. Every time you open the phone, you are actually making a wee bit money to Google. How? Somebody else is paying for you to watch their advertisement. Saudi Aramco, thankfully, I don't know whether we are using it or Meta platforms. WhatsApp, each time you use WhatsApp, each time you use Facebook, you're actually paying into their coffers. Berkshire, not really. TSMC, all the chips that you see in all these are theirs. Eli, hopefully we won't have to use much of it. But so all these, we are their customers. Without even stepping their foot on this land, they have been able to get you as customers. You have no option but to fight for the space so that your products will be used across the world. That's possible. Only best quality talent comes to this place, and best quality will come only if you have best quality university. That's the easiest way to get there. Catch them young. Now, what happens if we do nothing, which is the most likely scenario? I'm a bit of a cynic. Okay, we Keralites are a bit cynical. Most likely none of this will happen. What is going to happen? We will become increasingly desolate. We will be just one patch of land. And that will be a sad end for a place like Kerala. Do you guys know 3,000 years back, Pharaoh, who Ramses II was mummified, they used what? Pepper. And this is the only place pepper grows, at least at that time. So we had relationship with Egypt 3,000 years back. 490 odd AD, when Rome was sacked, the ransom what they asked for was gold, silver, and pepper. Where will pepper come from? Rome. No, Kerala. Why not? Maybe. We had one of the finest ports here, Musiris. All religions came here. It's a storied land. And if you don't move with times, upgrade engineering education, upgrade education in general and engineering education in particular, because all these are engineering businesses. It will be a sad end for a fine, wonderful place, beautiful place called Kerala. So thank you so much.
Thank you, sir, for that insightful speech about transformation of engineering. Now, the stage is open for Q&A session.
So, fantastic session. I think
Thank you.
everybody was stuck with hope on what's happening. I could resonate very well because I was also an engineer, electronic engineer. I never did electronics in my life. Didn't know whether that was the right thing to join at the time, but do you think education should be made a profit for institution for profit rather than non-profit? If it is profit, there will be this interest of bringing the world-class facilities and resources into the institution. Our constitution talks about education as a non-profit. Is that the reason why all this is happening? Should we change over to make for-profit education institutions?
In principle, there's nothing wrong having for-profit education institutions. The problem is, for-profit means you will have stakeholders there. Are you interested in making, are you likely to get your stakeholders interested in making investments? I told you it's a very capital intensive business. For the very long haul, very long term, unlikely, it will be difficult. Some companies have been able to do that. For example, Amazon for the longest time did not make any profit, but he was able to keep the investors' interest. Is that going to be possible for an educational institution? I doubt. Second thing, take it from me, it's a competition. It's a competition for the most rare resource that we are going to have, that's manpower. It's a competition for talent. Now, if you have a university which is not for profit versus something with some institution which is for profit, with investors hankering for their returns, I am not sure the for-profit institutions are going to do better. But worth a try, no harm. But across the world, for-profit organizations, educational institutions have not done any great.
was very lovely to listen to you speak. My question, you brought about a lot of challenges. You said we need high quality education. So we need high quality education, we need diversity, and we also need capital to make all this happen. Now, say I'm going to take an optimistic route and say all this does happen. What about public infrastructure then? Like one of the tier 1 cities, this is the problem they face. They provided all this and now they're faced with this challenge. Us being tier 2 right now, we sort of do have like an opportunity to plan this possibly, but what do we do there?
So it's a question of prioritization. I'm not going to say that we don't require infrastructure. We require it, but something that doesn't, and that everybody knows that we require infrastructure. When you get stuck in the traffic, every common citizen says that we need to have better roads. But I haven't heard anybody saying that we need better universities. But in the absence of better universities, you won't have smart people coming in, you won't have smart ideas coming up, you won't have smart businesses which will contribute the tax dollars or tax rupees for your infrastructure. Just imagine how much is the revenue of any one of those companies on the right side, say a Meta or an Alphabet, any one of them, and take the GDP of the state of Kerala. I think Meta's, when I last did it, I think did it for lecture on it's nearly 5 times. Don't hold me to it. It's like significantly higher than the GDP of the whole state. One company. I'm not talking about all those companies, just one company. Now, the most bang for the buck you get from education. It might take 10 years, but if you start an infrastructure project in our state, it will definitely take 15 years. What's the harm? Wait for 10 years for the university. It's again a question of prioritization. That's what investment is all about. Investing decision making is about allocating the scarce resources. You are MBA students, right? So that's what you guys should be doing. He's not okay.
I'm also wondering, so where will all this capital come from? Because like you rightly said, a lot of the talent is leaving. And Kerala, especially for the longest time, have been getting majority of remittances. So this is one way that a lot of money has been coming in the state. Now, do we continue to wait for more people to leave and bring back that money at some point?
No, see, the government has to invest. The fact that some people who leave the state and then they send their remittance here and then that generates taxes and all that is a long-winded business, and that will not have enough money for your government to run. All this, you have to raise resources as you would raise for any major infrastructure project.
This is a slightly different question, in fact. Vinod Thomas, right? Vinod Thomas,
Yes.
20, 25, 30 years back, you were kind of a star here. Commissioner of Police, everything was going good for you. Then all of a sudden, why this change?
Okay.
No, this is youngsters don't know you, but when we were young, you were kind of a big man. Youngster. You was a kind of a trendsetter for sexual harassment in workplaces. You have conducted several. My wife was telling me, in fact, when I told that I was going to the class, she was reminiscing. You took a class for them, several institutions, ladies had come, you were kind of a very dynamic person. All of a sudden, why this change? At that time.
Otherwise, I would have been should I answer this?
Surely. I mean, youngsters don't know you.
Otherwise, I would have been a DGP or a DGP here. What would I be doing? So I actually see, government is at some level the government is very smart. They actually plan quite well. And what do they plan for? When they take an IPS officer, what are they planning for? They are only planning for the first 5 or 6 years. They know how many SP posts will become vacant. They take people according to that. Thereafter, actually, you don't require any more police officers. After the SP level, you actually require DGP. So most officers will just be waiting around to become the DGP. Like, that's quite a long wait. I'm not willing to wait for anybody for that long. And what will a DTP do? I mean, this itself is a big topic. Organizationally, police is not, it doesn't have a chief executive officer coming from the police force. Even the DG is actually a middle manager, right? So, a lot of involved issues, but all that is actually not the honest reason why I left. I just got bored.
Can I ask one? Okay.
Yes, sir.
It was a great eye-opener. Actually, the subject was very good. In fact, very pertinent these days to discuss about it. And thanks to KMA also for bringing in this particular problem. It so happens that I come from the same institution which was given as an example, the College of Engineering.
Oh my God! Dangerous.
No, it's you have rightly pointed out the changes what has happened over the years. But then when we studied, we were not called as engineering students. We were called, in fact, the society considered us making of a professional actually. In fact, I was staying at a place, in fact I belong to Central Travel, but I was staying at Trivandrum at a place. I had one KSRC bus coming up, picking me up, the only person. It comes to close to my house where I was staying, and then it takes me to the engineering college. So things have changed. But then we had the education system also at that point of time really making a professional. We had the best of faculty. We had lots of activities happening in the college. And as rightly said, the students don't leave at 4 o'clock. They stay back 7:30 like that. And we had evening function, many things actually. It was altogether a very pleasant experience to study there in that particular college. And over a period of time, things have changed. But then, what I want to say is, other than the core engineering, people definitely needs to know about the various branches. Definitely, there is no doubt about it. And as rightly said, towards the final years or maybe the last few semesters, you can concentrate on things what the current about the latest technology and what the current industry requirements that can be made. And to a large extent, there are outside avenues also happening. There are some other subjects which has also come up along with these core subjects. One I would strongly watch for it is what is known as the systems engineering. Today, an engineer coming out doesn't know anything about how it can be, the idea, how it can be done, how it can be innovated, how that can be made into a business model. So the entire transition from a doer to an entrepreneur is coming up in systems engineering. So that part I think should be focused very clearly, because students in engineering do not come, they basically study the subject and come out, they don't know anything about the industry, how to make it happen and how to innovate it and how to take it up, upscale it, and what the current, as you rightly said, the leaders in the current world, what they are doing. So these things also should be put into it. I would say it was a very good talk. I think definitely the subject is quite lot of things needs to be studied and made adaptable to a state like Kerala. Thank you.
Hi, sir. The session was very insightful. I'm curious to know, you have mentioned a lot of problems with our education system, but since you have two engineering colleges of your own, I'm curious to know what was the vision with which you had started these colleges, and what is it that we are lacking in that? And it is not that we can say it is just the government that should fund the high quality educational institutions. We have had president like BITS, ISB, all those people who have built world class institutions. But what is it that the government can do, and what is your vision for with which you had started, and what is your vision going forward for the institutions? Thank you.
To set the record straight, I'm just advising these colleges. I didn't start those colleges. They actually belong to a trust managed by my family. That is what it is. Now, can non-governmental entities start? Yes, they can. In fact, most of the very successful educational institutions in this world have been started by non-governmental entities. But you need to have people with that kind of deep pockets. It cannot be profit oriented. It has to be, somebody has to set it up for that vision. So we can't demand that somebody do something of that kind, right? So if there are people, ISB was set up by a bunch of very successful professionals. People can do it, nothing wrong. Yeah.
Sir, how true it is at entry level engineering graduates are getting low salary?
Yes, sir. I didn't understand. Once again.
At entry level engineering graduates, they get low salary because we have lots of graduates these days in engineering background. Is it true? How far it's true?
It is 100% true. 100% true.
Can I add?
Yes.
Actually, engineers are working like a clerk. Most of them some of them are working in front offices. So how much we can pay for a front office executive?
Postman.
Yeah, exactly. Uber guy is making more money than an engineer.
Bro, this is extremely damaging for the society. The reason is, you saw the biggest companies in 1950s as well as in 2024. They're all driven by engineering. Now, you are not able to pay decent wages to your engineers. How are you going to get smart people to come and study for that? And how are you going to compete with them? And compete, you have to. There's no escape, because unlike in the past, today these companies are hyperscalers. They sit there but take money from your pocket. You willingly give. Almost everything that you do from morning to evening, a part of that money is going to a company in Silicon Valley or somewhere else. Yeah.
We have the last two questions, please.
So how long do you think a state or a nation like ours with such a huge population wait for the government funding in the education industry?
So I'm not saying that I'm not saying that government should fund or private entities should fund, but what I want to emphasize is that it's extremely critical. Now, when something is extremely critical, you will look up to somebody on whom you have some control, right? Government is your government. When government spends money, he is spending the money from every one of us. He can tax you. You can have a special tax, whatever. When the society as a whole will want to do something, the government is the only entity which can do. Yes, you can wait for charity, but then how long will you wait for charity? I know government, probably what you're saying, hinting at is that government doesn't have money. No, government has money. Government has all our money. They can always take money from our pocket. Yes, for highways, central government imposed a special surcharge on us. Why can't the state government impose a special surcharge on all of us to set up a university? Or cancel one of those fancy projects and put that money in here? See, it's a question of prioritizing. Government will have to prioritize. I am saying right now, education at the bottom of the heap. I am saying it is essential that you put it right on top of the heap.
We had education cess long back.
Education?
Cess.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, hey, education cess or whatever. Put money, otherwise nothing is going to happen.
We have got live examples, BITS Pilani, the Indian Institute of Science with Tatas, several good institutions are there.
Those are funded out of charity.
Yeah, out of charity. And they are running pretty well.
We can't logically demand that charity be done for this, right?
No, we will not call them exactly charity, but at least...
They're charity. They're 100% charity. 100% charitable organizations. Yes.
Yeah, sir. So
One of my uncles is a retired chemistry professor. So he had his son forcefully made him study for mechanical engineering. So my question is, at that heat of the moment, he said that in something in Malayalam, like, you know, if there is a coconut that falls, it's usually on a B.Tech graduate or a Bengali. So, so my question is the current engineering curriculum like meeting with the industry needs? I have been like born and brought up in a GCC country, so there has been a struggle for the jobs for engineers specifically, and there has been a lot of stricter rules in other countries as well. So what is this kind of a scenario happening right now?
Right. So we have students here, we have employers on the other side. All of you would be looking for talent. And the constant complaint that I hear from recruiters is that they are not able to find adequate talent. Am I wrong? Right. This is what the situation is. Now I ask you guys, you will say engineers don't have jobs. You're all trying to get jobs. The other side is looking for talent. Why is there a mismatch? The reason, the culprit is who is standing right in the middle. The students are not being prepared for the jobs that are available. That's the only problem. That's what I wanted to explain. We want our educators, our education system to train, to teach students, prepare the students for jobs that are available, industries that are growing, not for something out of nostalgia. I'm not saying that you don't study engineering, civil engineering, core engineering branches. I'm not saying that. You study all that. Look at where your students are going. Most of the students, if they are taking general management positions, a lot of us actually ended up with some general management positions. And I don't regret having studied engineering at all. It's a very, very, very good training ground. But then it could have been tailored better. Maybe there could have been a general engineering instead of specifically in one particular branch. Right? I could have learned a little bit more of mechanical engineering, maybe some space technology, maybe some aeronautical engineering, maybe some metallurgy. So you possibly could come up with generic engineering subjects because more than half of your students are taking general management positions. They're all joining MBA schools. MBA requires that, but they're not specific engineering branches. Second, if half the people are going for IT, maybe you want to teach them IT. So tailor the education system to suit the real economy that is available currently. Let's not take very idealistic position that anyway engineering has to be taught, this has to be studied. Yes, we have to study all that, yes, but at the end of it, it's a commercial business. The society, the economy needs the talent. So, specific talent. Then this mismatch will not be there. Thank you.
I have the last question. So which branch your daughter took?
I don't know why every question raises bigger issues. Okay, so my daughter took computer science. Now, so she prepared for JEE. So she wanted to get into IIT. I also wanted her to get into IIT, specifically IIT Madras. Thankfully, that confusion was avoided because she didn't get it. But imagine, this is how I console her. Imagine you got into IIT, but you didn't get into computer science. She got into, say, okay, I'm not naming it, say civil engineering because I'm a civil engineer. What would I have told her? Don't take it. Don't take it. Go to the next best college and take computer science. You look at the list of companies. How many of them require civil engineers? How many of them require computer science? Be real. Not that I don't love civil engineering. Even now I like civil engineering. In fact, I sit in interviews for the faculty members. for our college. I actually asked genuine civil engineering questions. You know what the question I generally ask start with? What's a quadratic equation? And all these are postgraduate engineers. What percentage of them will answer this question? Any guess?
Less than 10%.
So the poor quality perpetuates itself. I am not going to agree that engineers don't need to know what a quadratic equation is. They need to know what it is. Right? So, if you have poor quality educational institutions, your teachers will also be poor quality. They will further create more poor quality students. Then the cycle will go.
That was an informative and interactive session. Now, I invite Dr. Anil Joseph, the Secretary of KMA, for the vote of thanks.
Very good evening, all of you. Indeed, a very eye-opening session. But unfortunately, you have a secretary who is the national chairman of the engineering association. I represent 7 lakh engineers in the country. I am the president of the Indian Geotechnical Society. I have a doctorate in foundation engineering, and I am known as the demolition man of India. See, I say the knowledge matters. Definitely the point is very important that we need overhauling of things for engineering. But we have engineers with talent. People ask me, can you come to Chile to do a demolition? Because your knowledge matters. I am traveling to Chile next month to see a project where we want to demolish. Why? Are there no engineers there? See, your knowledge matters. We have if you have subject knowledge, very important by our Vinod Thomas sir, thank you very much for an eye-opening session, because most of the time we don't agree to open up. And tomorrow you see the paper, today you see the paper today, Sridharan sir and myself, Sridharan the metro man, the infrastructure man, Nitin Gadkari, the AICT chairman, T.G. Sitaram, the Bureau of Indian Standards head, Sanjay Pan, and myself lighting the lamp for the future of engineering education in the country. And just closing ceremony with High B Eden, tomorrow's paper will have that photo. Today, the end of the Manoharma last page, I am there with all these people. And tomorrow you open up High B Eden, and V. Suresh, the chairman of the National Building Board, V3, making the closing ceremony. And finished the closing ceremony at 5:45, came over here to do the secretary job. Yes, it was a curtain opening, but there is other side of the story. I have 2 kids. Both are civil engineers. I am a civil engineer, proud civil engineer, being part of the nation building movement. I have 2 civil kids. Both are civil engineers. They are getting all the subjects, but both of them took civil engineering. Now, one is a PhD student in University of Texas A&M and working on artificial intelligence in civil engineering. If Tesla can drive a car without a driver, he says we will predict the behavior of structure with artificial intelligence and machine learning. Today, I happened to interview few students who were just studying their engineering. They came with a project to me where with the sensors, they will have the automated signals coming up from a college here in Kerala, not from IITs. So I was talking to Chandran, our ISRO director. He says IITs are produced for the outside countries. We have tier 2, tier 3 colleges, TKM colleges, CET, and all the colleges here who produced all the engineers for the Chandrayaan mission, Aditya mission, and then America failed to land at the south polar of the moon. We did it. We can, and 40% girls from ladies, not girls, ladies from our colleges did the job. Engineering, yes, it needs overhauling. Yes, we have some person who is running a magnificent engineering college here, including this thing. No, it's all thought process. We have to reinvent. I have been to colleges across, being the national president of these associations, representing the engineering fraternity across the country, but I have seen that when I have a college in Pune, where the average salary of an engineer per month in India is 1.8 lakhs per month. And they do tunnel engineering. So there is a demand for the next 3 years. That's a Peace University in Pune. They create the only college, so your subject knowledge matters. So why I am hired across the globe, across the country? Because there are a few people who know actually how to do the demolition. Like we raise this building. So there are many engineers coming out, but since this was a very touchy subject to me, sorry for bringing the other side of the story. I felt that I am attending a funeral. So I wanted to say, no, there are two sides of the coin, perfectly well. The other side is there, but there is a darkness, light will come. So you have to create light for the people to come in. It's not that something is wrong. If something is wrong, it has to be corrected. Exactly pointed out, it has to be corrected. But there is potential, there is growth, and that is what. So like sir told, engineering is the art of applying your knowledge into practice. You decide how to get a decision for the society. Engineering babus were there who created that. So it's a good opportunity of the different. I just thought for the August audience, I should bring the other perspective also. Now coming to my duty, thank you very much, sir, for opening and being very frank about what is going to happen. I really told about my daughter. My daughter is a demolition engineer. And now she is studying in University of California, Los Angeles, and she completed her earthquake engineering, and now she is working in STV in Los Angeles. And next year she is going to work with Jonathan Stewart for her further PhD in continuous aviation. So you bring in better knowledge, you tell them what has to be done. There will be opportunities. Say, we also dream that they will come back and start something here, but it will all work well. Now, for us, it was a very wonderful session, and this is where we talk plain. You know, when we debate on the subject, the reality is that we have to solve this problem rather than sitting idle, not doing anything. So we are all fighting for the engineers bill. Because why we don't have good engineers? Because any Tom, Dick and Harry can practice as an engineer. If you want to be a doctor, you should have a registration in Medical Council of India. And tomorrow's news will be engineers will demanded by the society. Today's news is also the same. So it is needed, only the proper people does the job, it will come back with the glory. So don't worry, your sister or brother or your relative studying that, it is not going to affect, they will all come back strongly. And we need a lot of engineers to make changes, because most of everything is engineered. Something goes wrong, they say it is doctored. And if something done well, we call it engineered. We call it engineered. I am an engineer as well as a doctor. So doctorate in engineering. So it's all how the more you learn, more you realize how the potential is coming to it. So we are running short of time. So, but then I just wanted to the other perspective part of the story. So I would like to thank all of you who are assembled here. Special thanks to our speaker today. And let's do a moment to the speaker, please.
Now I invite Ms. Meena Thomas and Algiers Khalid to give the memento to Mr. Vinod Thomas on behalf of KMA.
I think, madam, you should begin.
Also, I would like to thank our past president, ABK, who is here with us. Yes, ABK and our MC members, Algiers, Tom, and Dr. Radha Thavanur to be part of this meeting, and all the members and the students who have come over and made this day. Today, let us carry home that there are substances needs, and all those meetings, we should think and we should make sure that we make use of whatever we learn has to be applied into practice, and remember that is engineering. So whatever you learn, you apply into the field, it's become engineered. And next week, on 25th, we have Inspire series again, building a successful transformation plan for herbal isolates, key insights for strategic growth by Mr. Jacob Nainan,
Managing Director, Herbal Isolates Limited, Director, Synthetic Industries Limited. So that is on October 25th. And on November 1st, we have Ratan Tata Memorial Lecture by Mr. T.K. Nair, former Principal Secretary to former Prime Minister Manmohan Singh. So this is the upcoming 2 programs coming up. I'm very happy that even the hall is full with the people and a lot of questions were asked. So that means we have touched on a subject which need discussion and debating, and I open the question and there is no more further questions. So everything is closed. Thank you all for being with us. Look forward for seeing you next week in the same hall with further discussion on. Thank you very much.
Now I request everyone to stand up for national anthem.
पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल गंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मागे गाहे तव जयकारा जनगण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे